He was leading a blessed life, you could say. A good salary, beautiful house, beautiful girlfriend that likes to pole dance. Do you think he discussed his plans with her, ever?
I don't think so. She's an interesting figure, Lindsay Mills. She hasn't actually spoken publicly to me or indeed to anybody since all this happened 8 months ago. You can read her kind of blog entries, which show her state of mind, that basically...
Cryptic. They're cryptic, I'd say.
Well, they're cryptic, but also that she was pretty devastated when he scooted off to Hong Kong in May and disappeared. So we would have to ask her, but I think everyone's best guess is that she didn't know.
You believe that?
I think so, yeah. I don't think anybody knew, really, apart from the few journalists he was communicating with. But bear in mind, they didn't know who he was. They didn't know his name until the last minute. They didn't know where he was. They didn't even know if he was fake or real.
When they did know, they started to publish the bombshells about mass spying. And in your book, you describe the pressure put on the journalists working with him, also coming from the White House. And then strange things start happening to every journalist on the Snowden team. For example, the day they published, suddenly men start digging holes in the street in front of the Guardian office, in front of the editor's house. How intense was the pressure on that team?
It was pretty intense. I mean, I think it's not that we're paranoid or conspiratorial, but it's clear that the White House and indeed the British government, which was involved in this whole project from the beginning, didn't know what the hell was going on.
They were scared.
They were scared. They didn't really have a strategy. They had lost control of a huge amount of secret material. They didn't even know how much secret material. What one senior British official came to see us and he said, we think you've got 30 or 40 documents.
And you had, in essence?
A lot more than that. So.
Were your colleagues at The Guardian ever scared? Did they ever decide not to go through with this project because of the pressure?
I don't think we were scared because I think we all felt that this, of all stories, this one was overwhelmingly in the public interest. The fact that these two agencies, the NSA but also the British one, GCHQ, were mass hoovering everybody's electronic information was clearly a legitimate story, an investigation to pursue. Yeah. But having said that, certainly in the UK we came under tremendous pressure from government who were very unhappy and behind closed doors increasingly made all sorts of threats.
Did Edward Snowden oversee the consequences of what he did, do you think, before he started out on this?
He was very strategic. He was very strategic. He had a plan from the beginning, which was to reach out to journalists, turn this material over to them, not say, you know, publish this, this and this, but say, you exercise an editorial judgment.
You do the research.
And do the thing. But what he was very clear about was that he didn't want to kind of blow up existing legitimate intelligence operations. In other words, he didn't want the identities of agents in Afghanistan or Iraq exposed, because he felt actually what he was doing was patriotic. And in some ways even kind of reformist, that he was reforming the system rather than destroying the system.
So in that sense, he hadn't changed his mind about being a patriot.
He is still a patriot. I mean, many people say he's a traitor, especially in America.
But it was the government's attacking his system, and he's helping the
system.
system.
For him, this... I mean, I spent a long time talking to my colleague from The Guardian, Ewan McCaskill, who met Snowden in Hong Kong and spent many hours with him. And he told Ewan that he regarded this attack on the Constitution as similar to a land invasion when you send your tanks and troops over the border. War. It was war. It was a war against the American people, and he was kind of fighting on the right side.
Mm-hmm. You have to be a radical to some degree to sacrifice your life. Is he crazy?
I don't think he's crazy. I think he's a sort of old-fashioned idealist, actually, someone who starts with an abstract principle, feels it's being violated, looks around to see if anyone's going to do anything about it, and then takes it upon himself to act. Now, his critics say this is kind of, narcissism or arrogance or whatever.
Well, to see yourself as the ultimate savior and do it by yourself.
Yeah, but Aoife, the thing is actually, Ewan and others say that he's the shyest guy, that he's not in this for the fame or the money or the attention, that he takes no pleasure in finding himself on the front page of newspapers around the world, that essentially he's a geek, happiest in front of his laptop doing his own thing, and he only did this because he felt compelled to act.
And at no point did he feel that the way would be from the inside out? That was a closed door from the beginning from him? He couldn't change the system?
Yeah, I mean, this is an accusation the Obama administration make. If you're unhappy, you complain internally. But the fact was, he was a contractor rather than a full-time employee. In other words, there were various whistleblower schemes in the US, but they didn't apply to him. And plus, he'd seen what happened to other American whistleblowers. I mean, look at Chelsea Manning, now serving 35 years in jail for leaking US cables.
His revelations have changed the world, or not?
Yeah, I would say they've changed the world. I mean, I think he's the guy who has sort of pulled away the curtain and revealed the kind of true nature of things.
Have things, in essence, changed, or is it just the difference that we know now what's going on?
Well, in terms of reform, I would say not much, but in terms of our knowledge, tremendously. I mean, we know, for example, that iPhones are the most wonderful spying devices. Now, people suspected that. Everybody thought maybe they're nuts. But actually, we've seen the documents and it's true.
So don't take them into the bedroom.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, obviously, because an iPhone can be turned into a spying device, it doesn't mean that the spy agencies are listening in on everyone's iPhone. But of course, you know, it's quite nice to know that fact. And also the fact that all of our private data is being sucked up. So I think this is a kind of turning point in privacy and kind of democracy, actually.
Before and after Edward Snowden?
Well, I think our kind of capacity to have any kind of electronic privacy is quickly eroding. And we know this thanks to Snowden.
It's very difficult to reach him because of security issues, obviously. You yourself have been banned from Moscow, so you can't see him. Do you have any idea what he thinks of your book?
Well, the book is enormously sympathetic to him and also explains some of the pressure the journalists have been under. And my understanding is he's not unhappy with it.
Not unhappy. The Guardian, your newspaper, has only published 1% of the documents Snowden has. The worst or the best, depending on how you view it, is yet to come. When is it going to come?
Well, these documents are quite tricky. I mean, it's not like reading a laundry list. I mean, they're very technical and they take time to understand and to get right. And plus, before we've published anything, we've talked to the relevant agencies and governments and so on. We haven't just kind of pushed this stuff out there. I mean, there will be more revelations for sure. But
will they be as devastating as what we've seen up until now?
I think the kind of core revelations of mass spying by the Americans and the British are out. I mean, I think there is more stuff to come, but I think we learned most from what came out last year.
How will history judge Edward Snowden in the end? Hero or traitor?
I think hero. I think he did something incredibly brave, and he's paid a very big price for doing that.
And is that how the world will see him, or is that how Luke Harding sees him?
I think increasingly that's how the world will see him, and I think future generations, anyone who goes online, uses Google, Yahoo, Facebook, will earn him a debt of thanks.
When will you speak to him next?
Probably not in Moscow, but there are other ways. We are in touch with him, yeah.
Luke Harding, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.